Let's roll. This is Countercharge, your podcast for ranks, flanks, and kings of war. Join your hosts as they delve into the world of Panithor and bring you worldwide coverage of all things Kings of War.
Welcome to Countercharge. I'm Rob Enough.
And I'm Matt Croger. Tonight we're going to be discussing the new book Fracture. And huge thanks to Mantic, who've provided us with an advanced copy a couple of weeks before, I think shipping starts in about 5 days, Rob. And then the embargo shall be lifted, and you'll be hearing this in your ears then, be informing you of some of the new changes. Now, we're not going to sit here and read out the new book in totality and the stats, and I'm sure that'll happen elsewhere. So what we're going to focus on is just what's changed in each list, what we like, perhaps what we don't like, if there's anything along those lines. And what we're going to start up first with is Basilia, everyone's favourite two-gooder army, Rob.
Well, when I was looking at the Basilia list, the one thing that I was looking for that's still not in the list are the Sisterhood chariots.
Interesting, considering there is a model, right? So, but maybe that's finally been retired, that model, to the trash heap of time. But why don't we kick straight into maybe not straight into the entries yet, but let's talk about the command order changes for them, because I think that's what's changed with quite a few armies. And as we know in these update books, Rob, that the armies that are in them tend to get more, as well as maybe a unique spell or thing. So let's focus on those to start with. And what we've got a couple of new ones, or three new ones, and one that's had a bit of a rework. I guess first look. So these we might do in. Should we do the commands in total, Rob?
So when we get to the units, I think it'll give more flavor when you know the commands they have rocking, because some of these units on paper might not look great, but when you consider what they can do, I think there's some really interesting combos there.
Yeah. So first up, we've got the Aegis of Colossu. I'm not sure who Colossu is. I'm not that good with my fluff, Rob. But so it's had a rework. It was existing, and so it was heal, which was remove a damage per success, of course. But now it grants +1 defense versus range to the front facing until next turn for faithful only. So that's a little bit like the old sacrificial imp for the abyss.
And they do have For the Glory of the Hegemon 5+, and really that's the existing one, right? And really the only change there is they just realize there's no heavy infantry in the list. And next up, we got a new command, Cleanse, on a 4+. It gives Iron Resolve +1 until the next turn, removes ongoing spell effects in Frozen. I like that.
That's pretty powerful, I think, particularly when you've got things like weakness rolling around from Twilight Kin, and when everything's got Iron Resolve, and chip return of wounds, or damage is so powerful in this edition. So, and I think that fits into the theme of Basilia.
100%. It feels like a Basilian command order. Yeah.
Mm, yeah. And then we've got Born by Angels 5+, which is new. Infantry and large infantry gain fly during advance and at the double moves. Now, that is something we haven't seen yet.
Essentially, what we're saying is, if you want to just move either advance or at the double, you can jump over your own units, or you could jump over blocking terrain, or you could jump over woods and get where you want to be and not have to be worried. So it's better than Pathfinder.
There's one new unit, Rob, that I think that would be hilarious with, that we'll come to soon.
And the last command, which is also new, is Fell the Beast 4+. It's infantry cavalry gain Slayer and D3. And it's combat only, and as the success is rolled. That's cool because it harkens back to the Order of the Brother Mark, or even Brotherhood before, that had that monster slayer sliver that ran through the army. I think that's cool. It kind of harkens back to that.
And what's interesting there, Rob, is that it's plus as well. So if you're a unit already with Slayer, you can be bumping that Slayer up even more.
And we should also mention there are 2 generic commands that all armies get, including Basilia. We have Tenacity, which is a 3+, and it gives you a reroll. It gives you the ability to reroll a failed hit. It's just basically a split of slashing, which is cool. If you have nothing else to do, Well, if you have combat, you always have that available. And the one that I like even a little better, which is tactical retreat on a 4+, you can give a back movement order and you move at full speed, but you don't get any pivots. That reminds me of the generic command we had in 3.5 and in that last Clash of Kings book. There was something similar with that. I'm excited to start to see generic commands. I think that's cool. I think it certainly goes a long way for the armies that only have a couple.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just gives that other little option. I think there's like plenty of armies where you've got your commanders not doing much for a while, right? So I think it gives you it gives them more viability through more phases of the game or more turns of the game, I guess, particularly when you're paying so much for your characters. So that's that. And then we've got a new mechanic in the Arcane Library called the Holy Lance, which is cool. Now, it's about 40 points, but I'm assuming it's a magic missile. It has 36-inch range, and it's cool because it's a spell that basically the closer the enemy is, the more potential for damage it has. So you've got more dice at 12 inches, so 9 dice, 7 dice at 24, and 5 dice at greater than
36-inch range. So it got a long effect, and the farther away the target is, the less dice you have. But I think that's still pretty neat, right? I think that's and that's a trend. That's a theme in this book, right? Where a lot of the armies that got the glow up are actually getting additional spells, which I think is cool.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also got piercing and shattering. So, but yeah, you're paying a hefty price for it at 40 points. So that'll be something I think. I don't know. I'll be interesting to see what we see that on. I guess it's something on a horse that can see over. Maybe magic missile, of course, would take cover, etc. So I'll be interested to see if that hits the table and how well it hits the table. It's no Blizzard on an elf mage, is it?
It's not. It's not. Well, maybe we can get into the units, but we're not going to go through all the units line by line because most of them have not changed, or if they have changed, they're very slight, like 5-point increase. But maybe we can start with a discussion of some of the new units we have because there's actually 5 new units in this list.
Paladin Monster Slayers, which is standing alone as a unique entry, and it's an infantry horde only. So what I like about these uniques is that there's a couple of uniques here where they're dictating the size of what you take. So it's a flavorful unit from the, I guess, meant to represent something specific in the fluff. So the infantry horde only. I will go through their stat line: speed 5, melee 3, def 4, attacks 25, nerve 24 for 255 points. They're faithful, so they basically are able to be targeted by a bunch of these new commands. Crushing 2. Headstrong, Iron Resolve 1, and Slayer D6. I mean, 255 points isn't too much more than a normal infantry horde, is it? Across some armies, it's probably a fair bit more than generic horde.
But it follows that theme that we touched on with Fell the Beast, which gives plus N D3, right? So like you have the ability to, stack onto that D6, and wow, if in the right circumstance, like ogres would shudder, right? I would be shivering if these guys come at me.
Exactly. Like so little has access to crushing 2 at melee 3, in that kind of volume of attack. So I think this is cool. And I think this and the next unit are meant to represent. So in this book, Rob, isn't it a hefty tome for lore?
When I got the book, I mean, maybe 60% of the book or 50% of the book is lore.
Yeah. I think the first 70 pages or something.
Yeah, it's all, I don't know the exact number, but I there's a lot there. And to be fair, I haven't gotten through it all yet. There's a lot of reading to do. So luckily I'm going on vacation next week, so I will hopefully get through some of it.
Well, that's the thing. So I think if you're going to rely only on the companion update, you're going to be missing out a bit if you do like lore, because there's a lot in there. And so I think this is part of it, I think, is this official absorption of the Brother Mark. And so these two, this unit and the next one, are meant to represent that.
And what I liked was the lore explains the changes that you see in the list, like thematically, and so I like that.
Which was something at the start of Kings, wasn't it, into second edition as well? There was just this complete disconnect from rules and lore, but I certainly think that's something that's improved over the recent editions and changes, is seeing that reflected.
The next new unit is the Order of the Abyssal Hunt. Again, it's got that theme, right? I'm seeing a trend here that really harkens back to that other Brotherhood list, in this case, Brother Mark, which is another unique unit, and it's a cavalry horde only. Matt, that's amazing.
I thought cav hordes were dead, but here
I
we
did
are.
too. But speed 8, melee 3, defense 5, tough unit. Attacks 30. Ooh, juicy. Nerve 23. It's 360 points, and it also has the faithful trait. Crushing strength 1, thunder charge 2. Interesting change, right? Because a lot of the heavy hitting knights are TC3, and giving it that little bit of crushing strength 1 makes it a little bit more survivable. And by the way, it's got headstrong and iron resolve 1 and Slayer D6 in combat.
Yeah, so both the Order of the Abyssal Hunt and the Paladin Monster Slayers were previously upgrades that you could do to add a bit of flavor, but you could do it on, say, the regiment level, whereas now they're defining what the unit is with its own stat line, and it's and defining the size of the unit. So they're both hordes. So yeah, this is one, Rob, that some of those commands are perfect targets for, right? Iron Resolve +1 or the Slayer plus and 2d3. Like this could go through with Slayer, this could go through a unit of anything large in one hit if it wanted to. I mean, you're paying 360 points, but I guess the thing about being unique, though, you can't put jaybirds on it, right?
Yeah, and the next new unit is, I'm sure Terry has been waiting with bated breath to hear us talk about.
He's going to be salivating, Orion. Isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. Orion's, is in the list, and hero, cavalry, speed 8, melee 3, defense 5, attacks 5, nerve 15 plus, 195 points. But he's got crushing strength 2, duelist D3 +2. That seems pretty tasty, given the 5 attacks, elite combat, and then individual iron resolve 1, inspiring, and disarm. What is this new thing in the list?
Yeah, it's his own special rule, and when he hits, so you don't even have to cause damage. When he hits, it applies weakness. I really like that. That's cool.
It's like the Grupp Longnail one, but the Grupp has to actually damage to do it. So that's pretty useful. Yeah.
In Partner in Crime from the books, we're also getting Estelle. And so she's unique as well. Speed 5, melee 3. So she's on foot, shooting 4, def 4, attacks 5, nerve 14 plus for 145 points. She's got aura iron resolve +1. Crushing strength 1, elite combat, individual, vicious combat, and a bow. I like this. That aura iron resolve +1, because she doesn't have inspiring. And I think there's such a character tax, but at 145 points with that aura alone, I'd be considering her.
And then we have the smiling lion rider himself, Naeus, and he's, again, unique. I think that's interesting that all the new units are unique. I think that's cool. It really adds some flavor. And I guess, looking at some of these things, like the 2 that were upgrades, I mean, those were probably, you could only do 1 unit with those upgrades, right? So if it was already kind of unique. And so Naeus, hero, large cavalry, speed 9, melee 3, defense 5, attacks 7, nerve 17, and 240 points, crushing strength 2, fearless, which I like, inspiring, iron resolve, and what is this? Master of the Field gets to issue 2 command orders per turn. And I'm assuming he's a warlord. Is that right?
He's a warlord. You're correct.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool, being able to cast 2 commands with 3 dice each. That's pretty sweet. And it doesn't say you can't cast the same one twice. So, and you've got 7 at your available. You got 7 in the holster there. 5 of your Basilean specific ones and the 2 generic ones. So
out of those new characters, he is the only one that's a warlord. So your Orion and Estelle are available at the champion level. Rob, there's a whole bunch of little changes to units, a whole bunch going up by 5 points. Of course, we've got the 2 new units to replace, say, the upgrades on the Paladin Foot Knights and the Paladin Knights. A little bit of changing to the Sisterhood things where they're gaining a proper trait for Sisterhood. And Panther Lancers gain Pathfinder, as you mentioned. And then we've got the Ogre Palace Guard captain, 1 unit of Ogre Palace Guard in his battalion as a core choice. So that's a nice little change to add some flavour to why you might take specific commanders. Urolohi has now been made sure you can only take 1 per battalion, and only 1 unit of Alohi becomes a specialist choice, which I think is thematic. I'm sure there'll be some people that dislike that, but I think that's thematic. Did you want to touch on any of those other changes there, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting ones. The one that I really like was Samacris. He's got a new option to upgrade a Battalion Phoenix to an Ancient Phoenix, and it gets Martyr's Prayer 5 for plus 15 points, and it ignores the unique limit. So if you wanted to give Martyr's Prayer to somebody else, you could do that. I thought it was cool. Yeah, and I guess Samacris has lost the ability to make the Aloha special, I think, right? But that's not a big deal because Julius has that ability still. So it's, I mean, I guess it's a problem if you were only taking Samacris.
Yeah, and I think one thing that was removed is that cleanse on the War Priest, because effectively that's been added as a command now. So there's no need for that to be on the heel of the War Priest. Yes, and then as you already mentioned, the High Paladin and Knights can become core. Yeah, and the Abbess. So gains Aura Brutal +1 Sisterhood only, which is a nice little change. And a number of people, I can't remember if they were asking for the Lancers or for the Sisterhood foot troops, but the Abbess now, the Lancers can become core. A bunch of changes there, Rob. What's your overall vibe of those changes for Basileia?
So I like it a lot because the juicy center of the army really hasn't changed that much, right? There's some small tweaks there. But where they made big swings is obviously in the command phase. I think there's going to be some cool stuff. The unique units are, two of them were kind of replacements for previously upgraded units, but I like that. And the battalion structure has changed quite a bit because now you can take Knights as core, and you can still take the Aloha as special. And you can take the Sisterhood Panthers Lancers as core. So I like those kind of things because that's interesting because it's one of those things where just one character can kind of change the army, thematically. So I really liked it quite a bit. And it doesn't hurt that the new models are pretty awesome too. I mean, the Paladin on Dragon is still like just he might be my favorite model that's come out with the Fracture book. I mean, it's just really, really good. So what about you, Matt? What are your thoughts on the book?
I agree. I agree. I think on paper you can go, not that much has been added, but commands change a lot because I think in a lot of the generic army lists you feel a little bit pigeonholed into which commanders or warlord choices are significantly better. But when you've got really good commands, it kind of opens up more of those choices. And then you say where they've done a fair bit of focus on changing up how you can construct a list, I think that makes it really interesting. I think the addition of Orion and Estelle is awesome from the books because I think people are really going to find themselves wanting to represent, that kind of flavour on the table. And boy, am I glad to see Cavalry Horde back. I mean, they've never been they've had some success in some hands, but I've always just enjoyed a Cavalry Horde, to be honest, just for the fun of it. When I alluded to there's a unit that would be fun to the command, wasn't reading properly the infantry and heavy infantry and large infantry only. I was hoping you could make horses fly, but
they just automatically become Bretonian peg knights, and they're just flap, flap. Well, if you read the thing, it's the angels, the Aloha actually come down and pick you up and carry you.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's pretty dope. I mean, talk about dripping in flavor. I'm loving that notion. I mean, can you imagine a unit of Aloha that's been modeled like they're picking up some men at arms and they're carrying it across the battle? I mean, come on, that's cool, man. That's cool. Hey, that would be the perfect unit for Jeremy because he could run it as Aloha, and maybe with like a base changer, he could run it as men at arms, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or do you know what? Maybe I'm going to model one, and it's going to be picking up Jeremy and bringing him back to the game.
But you got to put his Abbess on there too. You got to have the Abbess.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Rob, I'm going to pick something up here. I don't know if I know you've been doing a bit of recording with Dylan. I don't know if you've picked it up, but there will not be many spelling errors in this book.
I didn't find any, which is I was like, okay, something's changed here. I don't know if somebody that you might know may have looked at the book, or
I think the Devilfish might have been in charge of that.
So you're saying Australians know how to read and spell?
Well, perhaps.
Come on, that's a big ask. Come on.
Perhaps. Yeah, exactly. So I think a little bit more effort was directed into that. I'm sure not
that's it.
absolute perfection, but we shouldn't be seeing the same level as what we've seen in the past. So that wraps up just an overview, I guess, of without going super into depth of all the changes. But I'm positive about my first read through. I think I was like, "Oh, is this enough?" But when you get into the nuts and bolts of it, I think there's enough there to really change it up and make it. I think what I want to see with these army lists is that there's enough changes that make me go, I want to collect that. And I think that's where I'm sitting with Basalia right now, is that I don't know what releases are coming in the future, but, that's enough. I've always loved the Basilean fluff and the idea of the army, and I had my Dragon Empire, but I gave that away to someone so that they could play, and also so that eventually I'll get a Mantic one on the table.
I only have Basilean for champions, but I do like the new plastics. And, if I had more time, I think this could be this could be something down the road that could be fun. Because I like what you said there, though. A lot of the changes, I don't know if they're going to be quote unquote like more powerful on the table. I don't know. But what I do know is it sounds like it's a hell of a lot more fun, right? I think it's more interesting. I think there's some, and also it feels like there's more options to make more unique lists. You can go the sister route. You can get the Sisterhood Panther Lancers as core. Or you can get, you can still get Aloha as special, but then you can get Knights. That's cool to me.
And how good is that flying command going to be, like end game?
What is Alan Ballard going to do to abuse me with it?
With a smile.
Because I'm just thinking like, ooh, that's because it's so out there. And to their credit, a lot of the commands in this new book have really interesting twists that I'm like, oh, I don't know how this works exactly in my head or how I'm going to work it on the table. But there's something there. It feels like there's something there. So I'm really excited.
I think it'll catch some people out at first,
100%.
Or I've blocked you up. Ooh, now I'm behind you.
Exactly.
Because it's not limiting your pivots either. So you can still go like at the double over the top and still pivot 90. Tactically, it's going to be really interesting.
Or advance once and get 2 pivots, right? So, it's almost like, wow. It's almost like better than Surge, maybe.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I just think back to like 2nd edition when I would jump like Wraiths over the unit and they would turn and because and they would be looking at the butt of the other unit and and then I'd surge them in. But all right, well that's our real quick primer on the new Basilean list, which is found in the Fracture book. As Matt reiterated up the top, this book is chock full of theme, and I highly recommend getting the book and checking a look at it because there's some cool stuff in there that the theme stuff we didn't really touch on in any level. So, all right. Well, that's going to do us tonight. And until next time, keep countercharging.
Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time on Countercharge. Please let us know what you thought of the show by emailing us at counterchargepodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter @countercharge15, or by commenting on the Countercharge Kings of War podcast Facebook group. If you enjoy the show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. Until next time, keep countercharging. Music is a composition of Kevin MacLeod and is licensed under Creative Commons.